Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I've sat here all morning and listened to how COVID affects every area of our lives in Montgomery County. The one thing that I haven't heard yet is how COVID affects our animals that we have at home. These people that are staying at home are also abusing their animals while at home. And the victims of domestic violence that are predators or predicated on by these abusers at home, we're seeing an increase of the cruelty towards the animals to gain control and power over their victims. So I'd like, for y'all to take a moment and just think about the animals that are also suffering from COVID. I understand that this probably doesn't have anything to do with ARPA funds or anything like that, but I think it's something that's under-investigated in Montgomery County and needs to be addressed.
You got to have a mental problem to want to abuse an animal, so there might be
It does have a nexus to mental health. So I'd just like for you to take a moment, and I'm not here to preach to you, but what I'm trying to say to you today is biblical. Why should animal cruelty be on our agenda? Well, in 2017, the FBI started their National Incident-Based Reporting System, NIBRS, and as you heard on Monday, they took animal cruelty cases from a category of other and made it its own category in NIBRS. So if it's important enough for the FBI to track it, why is it not important enough to us to investigate it? In 2018, the FBI and the National Sheriff's Association, they put out an article stating that animal cruelty is a gateway crime. Think about that for a second. It's a gateway crime. Serial killers, school shooters, serial rapists and murderers, when interviewed after the fact, have said they've all started with animal cruelty. There's also a link that says that animal cruelty, if someone is able to commit cruelty towards animals, they are 5 times more likely to perpetrate a violent crime against other humans. So these people that are out there abusing animals are going to move. Abusing animals is their test ground. Let's just leave it at that. It's their test ground for the crimes that they're going to commit later. And if we can investigate those crimes early, get early intervention, arrest, prison sentences, whatever it may be, public education, whatever that might be, maybe we could effectively curb this link in Montgomery County. I make no promises, but I think we have that we need to try. We need to do what we can, because this is an under-investigated area in Montgomery County. And as I said earlier, the link to how it relates to sexual homicides and whatnot. I know from my time as an ICAC investigator, many of my cases, when interviewing the suspect, said that he was either into animal cruelty or bestiality before he perpetrated his crime on children. And as I stated earlier, there's a nexus to the domestic violence portion of it. So this is something that I've been working on for almost a year. I went to Animal Control in January of this year and spoke to Director Johnson. And I asked him, I said, who does your investigations for animal cruelty? And he explained to me that they really have no dedicated source or person to go to, that they call dispatch and they just get the first available unit to respond. So he gave me the statistics for a 5-year period, 2015 to 2020, of just over 7,600 calls for cruelty, neglect, and abandonment. Now, I'm not unrealistic. I worked the streets before. I know that that's a large number, and a majority of those were probably unfounded, or once they got there, the facts didn't support any further investigation. But let's take 10% of that. 760 animals that have been abused, neglected, or abandoned. To me, that's a significant number. All reports indicate that there are covert dogfighting and cockfighting rings in Montgomery County. The associated crimes that go with that are listed on this screen. It includes narcotics, violent crimes, prostitution, not to mention the cruelty to the animals for the entertainment of people, along with the illegal gambling. This proposal addresses the needs to have full-time investigators dedicated to investigating animal cruelty cases. This proposal includes 4 full-time investigators and 1 supervisor dedicated to the enforcement of animal cruelty cases. Now, keep in mind, this will be countywide, because this is a countywide problem. The vehicles, because of the shortage and unable to get law enforcement vehicles at this time, these people will be investigators and not responding to priority type calls. We could go with the lease program for them also. 1 administrative clerk to handle the additional paper load that these investigators are going to build during their casework, and the specialized training and certifications necessary to conduct these type of investigations. Because quite frankly, this area of law enforcement is just as special as ICAC. If y'all are not aware, some of you may be, that this past Sunday we had a community event to raise funds to offset the upstart costs of this unit. It was held out at the fairgrounds. There was a huge turnout from the public. It was a very successful event, and it brought awareness, if nothing else. If we didn't take in a single dollar, it brought in awareness in the community because of its exposure. So I'm asking for the commissioners today to consider this proposal and think how this relates to all of the other budgetary items that are coming before you throughout the week.
Yeah, no, I mean, you brought up some good information.
You also had a fundraiser on this, right?
Yes.
You had it. How much did you earn?
Just over $50,000.
50?
Yes, sir.
That was
Pretty
this
good.
past Sunday.
Wow.
What if, what if part of the solution, because I had the opportunity to take over and help lead the animal shelter and animal control for a while, and it was, it's an experience that you won't forget, and I mean that in a positive way. You really got to see just how the people who work there care about what they do and the amount of time and energy they put into the place. And it's not a great place to work. I mean, it's stressful. Now there's 700 animals, and it's a stressful environment. And one of the things I think they do need is an entity to help oversee that. And so, I mean, why would part of the proposal not be for animal control to be taken over by Precinct 2 Constable's office, and you guys run animal control, train the staff that's there on the animal control side? So, because we get a lot of complaints about they're not able to effectively handle the situation, they're not compassionate.
Well, they have no
with
enforcement
people.
power.
And so, but y'all could give them the enforcement, or you would be the enforcement arm of what they do. I mean, so not only just, I would think about merging part of your organization into that, so y'all could do that. I mean, would that, to me, I think it makes good
I haven't
sense.
thought about that aspect. Basically, I've been focused on, bringing the perpetrators that commit these crimes to justice.
And so, I mean, y'all would be able to see it the whole way, because as far as I understand, a lot of the calls initiate with animal control. They
Yes.
don't necessarily go to dispatch. And so-
1,500 calls last year to dispatch for animal cruelty.
But you said there were, and I have the numbers. You
In
said
5 years,
7,000? Okay, 7,000. So it's just one of those things where if we got the animal control group more in tune with looking for these things, they could pass it directly on to you folks. And at one time, I think they actually had, when Tim Hollifield was there, I don't know if Tim's around, but as a peace officer that was over animal control, and I think it did work better.
I think there is two of those are certified peace officers, are they not?
At the shelter?
Yeah.
Mark,
sir.
Mark and Aaron are not?
No, sir.
They're not licensed.
No?
They're animal control officers, but they're not.
Yeah.
They have no
different.
criminal power, is what our understanding. And just so you know, Commissioner Nowak, Animal Shelter will be here tomorrow to discuss their animal control officer. They are asking for an additional one, so I don't know if you wanted them to come back and kind of talk with them at the same time as Animal Shelter, but that's just an option that you guys have.
Would that be something y'all would entertain the thought of, possibly?
Is it realistic?
I know that's kind of short notice.
I just think that would be a way to help bring
Kinda.
this all together. That way,
That's a huge responsibility to take on with a smallest department in the county. So, but we would certainly entertain and look into the aspect of doing that.
We could kill two birds with one stone here in doing that. I've been very much involved with those guys down there.
I can say
They need
that
help, for sure.
that in some of the conversations with Director Johnson that we've talked about 5 years down the road, that they need a new shelter, we need a new station, that we find a place, build a joint center where you have animal control and animal shelter on one side and Precinct 2 Constable and maybe even JP2 on the other side.
So
That's
is there
5 years
not
or more
anybody
down the road.
Investigating animal cruelty right now in this
Sir?
county? Is there anybody at all investigating animal cruelty in this county right now?
Sheriff's Department.
Not non-livestock.
What do you mean non-livestock?
The Sheriff's Department takes care of the livestock side. This is for the non-livestock side.
Dogs, cats.
Okay.
Dogs, cats,
Is there
yes.
not anybody investigating those now? Dogs and
I can tell you that since speaking with Director Johnson, I have committed to him my assistance in investigating some of these crimes, and I have 6 open cases on my desk right now.
okay,
One of them being the dog shot with the arrow in your precinct.
okay. So where does that go when you investigate? It goes to, you got to go to a court somewhere. So who's going to do? Where would it end up?
It would end up with the DA's office, and we have a relationship with the DA's office, and one of the DAs there that specifically deals with our cases and gives us direction and looks over every step of our investigation prior to us filing charges or
And he's
getting a
there,
warrant.
he's already there.
Yes, the DA,
Okay.
the ADA is already there.
If we're considering including the animal shelter in this, I think it would be good for us to wait till tomorrow and have everybody get together and address this again and see how they can work together.
I'm certainly not opposed to Commissioner Nowak's and your idea as well, Judge. But in fairness to the sheriff, I'm looking at a deal on March the 10th. You guys arrested some guy, shot a dog. He's in a striped suit right now, I guess, in your bed and breakfast down there. So you guys are covering some type of
Yes.
We do investigate.
Okay.
Yeah, and-
but I'm certainly not opposed to what you're talking about as well.
They don't have anybody dedicated.
Sheriff?
We investigate them, we just hit the patrol and detective level, we just don't have a specialized unit other than livestock. This is
Right,
what we're talking
yeah.
about, companion animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I certainly would agree that we need to follow up and try to investigate to the best of our ability these cases. And I would agree that it takes a special person and special training. There are some people that they're going to, I don't want to get into prioritization of what's more important, but there are dog lovers that are going to understand that this needs to be investigated as much as a child or whatever. So,
Especially as it relates to if they're abusing animals, the data shows that that's a starting point for all this other form of abuse. It's another form of mental health is what it is.
Yes.
and yeah, I think, and I was
So-
going to say, I didn't mean that as a joke. I mean,
No.
I would think that this could easily be tied to mental health. I mean, it's proven that these people you have to be deranged to want to hurt an animal. I don't know how we could say anything differently.
Those particular funds,
That's a little tenuous to fund it with ARPA.
I've already checked it out.
Jason, it was your idea. No, but I'm serious. I mean, I would think that to me, so it's a mental health issue if you hurt a person or you want to hurt yourself, but if you hurt an animal, it's not. I'd
I would
lawyer
agree.
up against that. I'd be ready.
I don't know if animal cruelty falls under the behavioral health.
That scripture that you quoted at the beginning,
Yes, sir.
what did that say?
It's Proverbs chapter 10 or chapter 12, verse 10, and it basically states that
In the particular version, it kind of dials it down. But there's another version that says, the righteous care for the needs of their animals. Another version says, a righteous man regards the life of his beast.
right,
These are Montgomery County beasts.
right,
They're Montgomery County animals and we know for a fact that if people abuse their animals, that it's easy to take the next step to abuse someone else. All the data is there.
yeah. I think the second passage is even stronger by saying that the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel.
So, Amanda, what is one of the investigators? I've got a price here. There's 4, and it's $363,000. What's that breakdown to?
He mentioned about not having a vehicle in there, but instead leasing the vehicle, which I don't know exactly how much per year it costs to lease a vehicle. But if we were talking about just an investigator without the vehicle, $131,332 is for each investigator, $131,000.
What is the?
That includes benefits and everything?
Yeah, that's everything.
What is the salary? I mean, I'm not talking about.
$63,107.20. That's just salary only.
That's the ongoing.
Oh, the ongoing, like recurring
Benefits
expenses.
and- yeah.
Yeah, the recurring expenses, I would say. $98,118.
You know what? I'd hate to drag this out until tomorrow. I'm willing to tell Aaron Johnson that these guys are going to run animal control. Joe Guidry can report to them.
Here's what you need to do. Then. You need to take over the animal shelter, and I'm no longer involved.
Well, I've done that already.
Can we vote on that?
And I didn't know that you were running it.
Oh,
at the
yeah.
time.
Okay. Last time I checked, I was assigned it, and I've been working.
No,
with it.
you were just.
Yeah, but
you're on the board.
I want to
Anyway,
let you
yeah,
do
I'm
it if
gonna
you
make
want
the
to.
example.
I give you control of the animals.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again. Been there,
Didn't
done
think
that
so.
once.
Well, I think the whole point is they're asking for investigators to be out on the street. Even if you combine the two together, you still have to have people to.
Well, I was going to finish until Mark jumped on me.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
And the
Wanted to
second part would be
straighten that
I would be willing to split the cost of one of the investigators with somebody and at least start with one.
Me and Charlie will do that.
Wait a
We'll
minute.
split
What am I
for
doing?
Investigators right there.
No,
Okay.
I
Almost
mean,
there.
am I doing something with the animal control? Am I doing something? I mean,
We're going to split. We would split a deputy. If you two wanted to,
Oh, now you're ponying up my money again.
well, you're always volunteering.
So-
That's just asleep.
so wait. I mean, if we're going to try to combine the two, let's don't decide on anything today. I mean, I ain't going to decide on a couple of deputies, and we get here tomorrow, and it all don't work out.
Yeah, my thought was, and Judge, to be honest with you, I know we put you on that board, but I never really thought of you as running the shelter because I'd quit.
Well, I don't run the shelter, but
I'd
I'm
quit
taking
your
all the
calls.
heat and all the mailings
Oh.
and all the customers, if you will, down
And we
there.
really
So,
appreciate that.
You know, so if you, yeah, and I appreciate that too. So if we're going to do this, then take it back over. I think you should. I think that's a great idea, and I'm officially out on
Yeah.
that. Although I love those guys and I love you guys.
I think they're doing great. I would just sit on the board for you. That would be fine. But
Sure.
my point is I think that if animal control needs to have a law enforcement presence, and y'all could provide that, and if we start you with one deputy, law enforcement, I mean, that way law
Investigator.
enforcement, what'd you say? An
Investigator.
One investigator.
Investigator.
And have animal control working underneath your umbrella. Y'all teach them, train them, make sure that they know what they're doing. Then I think it could be a perfect starting place.
They can teach them a lot of things, but they just cannot certify them to be
Correct.
a deputy.
Right.
And that's two different.
The questions to ask, you know what I mean? What to look for. I think it could be a.
Actually, they could teach us right now more about that than we can teach them. I mean, they're highly trained in what they do.
So you guys want to wait till tomorrow?
Y'all sleep on that tonight, and then tomorrow we bring in the other group.
Yeah.
See what.
Do it.
I mean, I'd like to say that starting with just one person would be a little unfair because it would be countywide 24/7. That means this person would be on call every day of the week, 365 days a year.
You can't.
We got to start somewhere, so maybe not one, may not be all of it. We got to start somewhere.
Well, but that's unrealistic. 24 hours a day. I mean,
And yeah, I think starting
Well,
with one is a fair choice.
And I don't
also,
know-
There's 3 openings at animal control, so that you've got the perfect opportunity to get good people in there, teach them.
yeah.
They don't. I mean, they've lost a lot of experience.
The animal control is also 24/7, 7 days a week. So
Well, mate,
Yeah, but
I know you can't always get
an
them, but
investigator may not have to be. I mean, well,
Well, you got
Got to start somewhere. I agree with Charlie.
you
guys raised 50,000.
we'll talk about animal control tomorrow.
yeah.
Let's move on.
About this tomorrow.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda?
If you guys can be back tomorrow, I would plan on being here about 9:30.
9:30?
Yep.
My constable was real lucky yesterday. We had all that money, so the deputies he were wanting they're funded. So what I'm going to do is for 2, I'll fund one of the deputies for the animal cruelty.
Okay.
did
One of
the
the
same
investigators? Okay.
Yes,
Commissioner, yours bumps up just a little bit just because of the step plan,
that's okay.
but just wanted to let you know on that. Okay.
Perfect. So where does that leave us then, Amanda? A lot of conversation right there.
It doesn't change.
That shouldn't change.
Budget.
Yeah, it shouldn't change anything then.
With that, we basically are taking $301,889.88 out of the law enforcement designated fund balance. Okay.
Good.
301,889.88. Just so you guys know, that's the vehicle equipment, vehicle maintenance, fuel, professional development, travel, cell phone, uniforms, body armor, body camera, taser. That includes all of that.
Good. Thank you.
It's included in all that 301 or not?
It is.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Concerning the animal cruelty, is there any way we can take add one more person so we can at least start this thing off right with 2 people?
Well, Judge, I was
We
gonna
got the
mention-
constables.
I will fund. I'll fund 1.5. That's.
I'll
all.
fund the other half.
Boom. Let's
So
go.
they'll have 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
That sound right? Is that
Yeah.
how you do that?
Will that work?
1.5 and I'll fund the other half.
And just like the equipment coming from,
All of it, whatever you got to do.
so that changes that number to
We can take their equipment out of reclassified as well. Okay.
377, 362, 30.